it is gone forever. It is gone forever. It's like people who take, professional photographs and they look for that perfect scene. They always have their camera with them and they keep on flashing away. Are they flashing what they really want? No. But they're hoping that they never miss the flash that they really want. And that is the same with the Quran. As you enter into the world of the Quran, the Quran will, in a sense, reveal itself to you. And when it does so, you will find that at a particular moment in time, that sometimes this verse, I can feel something, I can feel a certain sense of connection. I can feel how it relates to me. And it's at that point that as much as you develop that connection, you write and you record. So important. And these recordings are important because you are making a journal of yourself and of your own experiences, and you're putting it down there. And now you can become reflective. And a lot of times, when I go back and I look at some of the notes which I take from lectures and from courses and so on, I said, did I actually take these notes? You realize that there's no way I can think about it. I would have thought like that before, or would have reflected like that before, because you've moved on in life. But at that time, you were there. You were there in the midst of things. So the ayah Quran, or the Quran journal, is something which is important to do, inshallah, whether you do it electronically or otherwise. The fourth one I have here is engage in tadabbur and tafakkur in the Quran. And these are two important words. Tafakkur, to be able to engage in contemplation and remembrance of the words of the Quran. And as Brother Hassan told us this morning, the vast majority of the Quran is there for you to be able to engage in. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, that this is a book of guidance. It is a guidance for you. It is not for a guide and for you to be able to draw that guidance directly. It is not just about listening to someone else. And one of the things that we are trying to do here is to help you and to explain to you and to hopefully inspire you to know that it is important for you to have a direct connection with the book, without secondary sources. They are important, yes. You will use them, yes. When it is that you engage in study techniques and you want to study something in more detail. But it is important. These are the words of Allah. Allah is revealing the words to you. And it is important for you to be able to look at those words and engage with them directly. This is why when you read Imam al-Ghazali, when he talks about engagement with the Quran, he talks about as if it's going through, from degree to degree, stages to stages, until when you begin to engage, then you think as though you're almost in a stage when you feel as though you're receiving the words as they were being revealed from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're going even higher than that, thinking that they are words which are coming directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the way that you feel. And then that whole is an experience that will inspire you, inshallah, to become, to use the Quran for reflection. Now, I have here a quotation from a great scholar. He is the student of Farahi, Imam al-Farahi, who wrote Al-Qasam al-Quran that Brother Hassan mentioned. He is a great scholar from the subcontinent. I was fortunate that I helped translate his book from Urdu. I'm not an Urdu scholar, but I did some work on Tadabbur al-Quran. But this is one of the things that he said that we've recorded in the book. Something about when we wrote his biography. And he used to say that, and this is the extent, to understand more about this book, Tadabbur al-Quran, why it is considered to be such a classical work, is that Imam al-Farahi, Islahi, who is here, he said that, and this is up to when he was about 50 to 60 years of age. He said that for the last 60 years of my life, I have been preparing to write this book. This is my reflections on the Quran. 60 years I've been preparing. And when he was around 60 years of age, he said, I think I'm just about ready to do, of total immersion in the Quran. And then he wrote this book, and he only finished in his 90s, and then he passed away in 1997, something like that, yeah. But he said this about, he said, and these are the words that he left behind for us to be able to reflect on. And this is a level that I would hope, inshallah, that we can go when we study the Quran. He says, study a surah over and over until when you close your eye, you are able to clearly see it in your mind's eye. Its full splendor from head to toe, from the beginning to the end. And this is how we develop, this connection between the surahs and everything else that you can read about. People have done PhDs on his work. But this is the extent of being able to understand and be able to become reflective. It's something which takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy. But the more that you do it, the more that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give to you, inshallah. So that's the fourth one. The fifth one is just to emphasize what Brother Hassan spoke about when he talked about Arabic. Arabic is so important, and it is so easy to learn to be able to understand the Quran. Okay, Brother Abdul Wahid, who wrote the books Greatest Steps in Quran Reading and Access to Quranic Arabic, he boiled it down to a course whereby you can learn how to read the Quran from scratch. He could take anybody off the street, and in 24 hours time, they can read and write the Quranic script. Read and write with a certain level of fluidity. And we know that he's done it in this country because he's taught over 20,000 people in Trinidad in the 1970s and early 1980s to be able to read the Quran. This country was a place where there was hardly anybody could have read the Quran properly because they had learned, from other sources. And he was able to develop this program over 7 days and then gradually over 24 hours. But more so, then he went on to develop the Access to Quranic Arabic, where within 60 hours, you can be able to understand the vast majority of the Quran. 60 hours time, understand most of the Quran. So it is not difficult. Now we are very fortunate. There are online platforms, there are all sorts of things whereby you can begin to engage and learn with the Quran. There are even free YouTube videos. You just start them up and then do them in a sort of a sequential manner, and you will be able to do so. If there is a will, you will find a way, inshallah. Yes? It's called Access to Quranic Arabic. Yeah, 60-hour course. But you need a tutor, of course. You can do it on your own if it is that it's so queued up, because the books are developed for self-study as well. Arabic, yeah. Yeah, Abdul Wahid Hamid. I can bring a set, inshallah, you can have a look and see what it looks like. Okay. My sixth tip is this. A little at a time. When you become sort of motivated to want to, maybe after this course, or maybe after a lecture, or whatever it is, or something happens to you, and you want to become engaged with the Quran, suddenly you feel as though you won the whole thing. It's just like you see that cake which is there, that chocolate cake with all the cherries on top of it, and you're looking at that cake, and chocolate cake is the thing that you're into. That's your delicacy. And you're looking at it and you say, oh, look, you know what? I really want that chocolate cake. But you try to eat the whole of the chocolate cake at once, you're going to be in a problem. You will never be able to savor the real taste of that chocolate cake. Do you ever wonder why? If you go to a inexpensive restaurant, I won't say cheap, but inexpensive restaurant, a fast food takeaway, okay? A McDonald's or something like that. All right? Do you understand why that, or even they may even offer you, eat as much as you like. I know that is quite famous here. What do you think about the quality of food that you will get? How do you think it will taste? Now, you will get a lot, isn't it? You will get a lot of food, and it would cost you hardly any money at all. But try going to a restaurant. A classic restaurant, expensive restaurant, the most expensive restaurant there is. And I went to one of those. I think I was in Malaga. I was in Malaga on one of these courses that my drug reps normally take me about, just to show me things. and in Malaga, they took us to the most expensive restaurant in Malaga, exclusive restaurant, such that I remember in one restaurant, I was the only person in the restaurant. They hired out the whole restaurant just for me to sit in the restaurant and eat. Okay? Anyhow, so I went to this restaurant, and then they said that, we have some exclusive things here. You will not find it in most places in Europe. So I said, okay. I said, do you have anything vegetarian? He said, yeah, we have vegetarian stuff. So I said, fine, because I wasn't sure, whether the meat was halal and so on, so fine. So then there was this huge big plate that they brought, and then there was a tiny thing like that in the middle of the plate. And I was looking at those next to me who were, there were a couple of people next to me eating, from the group that went on that day. And their plate was filled with all sorts of things because they could eat meat. And because I chose the restaurant, the setup, I only got this little thing. The point being is that the reason why they would give you a small amount of something, and this is for is that little bit that they make is so exclusive to be able to give you that taste, that they want you to savor that taste. So that's why you would leave like a long time between serving the different courses, such that you want to engage, you want to feel the flavors, the taste, you want all your palates and all your senses, the smell and everything else.